What is up, guys? It is me, Max, back again with another guitar tutorial, and today we are going to take a look at Post Malone, Circles, a gorgeous, gorgeous song. He never disappoints, he always delivers, and here we are. And good news, it is played on guitar, at least a good chunk of it is, which is why I jump in. And the song itself is not too hard actually, and if it still is too hard for you, we can make it even easier so that there shouldn't be any more issues like at all. It's standard tuning, we don't need a capo, and before we get started, my Instagram is down in the description. If you want to talk to me or see what's going on in my life or something along those lines, I would be more than happy to see you over there, as well as some of my Spotify playlists. Go check those out. And without any further ado, let's roll. So first of all, we're going to take a look at the riff you saw me play in the intro of this very video, because that is our main riff throughout this song. We're going to be playing this throughout pretty much the entire thing, one exception being the bridge, and afterwards we're going to take a look at that tiny guitar melody we've got going on. But for now, we're going to start by taking a look at the chords we will be using here. And most of them are not going to be a typical blank major, blank minor chords, but they're going to be altered versions of those. But most of them are actually going to be easier than their original counterparts. One good example is our first chord, because that is going to be a C major 7. We've got our second finger on the second fret on the 4th string and our third finger on the 3rd fret on the 5th string. So usually for a C major, we would also need our first finger, but that's not the case here. So that's even easier, as I said, than the original chord. But as with the C major, we are going to have to mute our 6th string here. We're going to do that by wrapping our thumb around the top of our guitar neck and slightly touching that 6th string. That is the C major. Our next chord is going to be an E minor 7. We've got our second finger on the 2nd fret on the 5th string, and that's it. All we have to do here is we're still going to mute that 6th string, even though it's an E minor 7. We don't want that E to be making any sounds here. So we've got the C major 7, the E minor 7, and now we're going to use an altered version of that, because we are going to put our pinky onto the 3rd fret on the 2nd string like that. So we've got C major, E minor 7, its altered version. Next up, we've got an F major 7, 11. Now that is a pretty unusual chord, if I may say so. But it's not too crazy either, because first of all, we're going to put our thumb onto the 1st fret on the 6th string. So it's been grinding around this 6th string the entire time, always slightly touching it, but now we're actually going to put it on here onto the 1st fret. We're going to put our 3rd finger onto the 3rd fret on the 5th string, pinky on the 3rd fret on the 4th string, and 2nd finger on the 2nd fret on the 3rd string. 1st and 2nd string are open here. And if that is too hard for you and you're saying your thumb's cramping up or something like that, first of all, I recommend practice, because, well, new techniques are always good. But for now, you can also just lift your thumb off and still kind of mute the string. It will sound pretty much the exact same, but obviously it's a bit nicer with that bass note in there. And next up, we've got the actual F major 7. And we play that by simply adding our 1st finger onto the 1st fret on the 2nd string. So everything else stays the exact same. And now we've got our 1st finger on there as well. So we've got F major 7, E minor 7, its altered version, F major 7, 11, and F major 7. The next chord we will be needing, and pretty much our last one for now, is a G6. You could technically play a regular G and lift the 3rd finger off like that, but it's not quite the same, and since we already are in the exact same position on that F major 7, I recommend just going over here and going for the actual chord, we play it by staying in the exact same shape here, but only 2 frets up. So now we've got our thumb on the 3rd fret on the 6th string, first finger on the 3rd fret on the 2nd string, second finger on the 4th fret on the 3rd string, and 3rd finger and pinky on the 5th fret on the 5th and 4th string. Those are our chords for now. So what do we do with those chords? The rhythm's actually going to be pretty easy. The hard part is going to be to switch at the right time, because we switch on a lot of upstrokes here instead of our typical I'm gonna switch on the next downstroke type of situation. And we've got a pretty simple rhythm, as I said, because we just do downs and ups without any interruptions. One exception being the first leg of the intro, because as you can hear, that is a bit different, but we're going to take a look at that afterwards. For now, let's take a look at the irregular version of this riff, and we start things off on our F major 7, and we do 7 strokes. So we go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And on that last and, we're going to switch onto our E minor 7. So on that 8th stroke, the upstroke, we're gonna go like that. Then we're gonna continue strumming, go 1 and 2. So and now on the 2 and, we're gonna add our pinky for that altered version and go 3 and 4, and so continue that riff. We go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Now we're going to switch onto the F major 7/11, and we pretty much are going to do the exact same thing here between the F major 7/11 and the F major 7. So we're going to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and switch. And then 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 on the regular F major 7. So then we've got 16 strokes here. We go. Now we're gonna head back onto that C major 7 and do the exact same thing once more between the C major 7 and the E minor 7. And we're not going to be adding our alteration this time, so we're going to continue strumming on that E minor 7. So we go. Now we're going to go on to the F major 7, and we're going to do 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and. So 12 out of our 16 strokes here. We're going to slide up onto our G6 and continue 1 and 2 and, or well, at this point 3 and 4 and, so our last 4 out of these 16 strokes. So it's like that. So slowed down, the entire riff will sound like this. In the altered version in the intro, we kick things off by going like that. And then we go back to our regular down up strumming actually, but in that first leg we go down, 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 up, down. And on that next up, once again, we switch. So we go. And now we go up, down, and on that next up, we switch again onto that altered version. So we go. And now once more, up, down, up. So it's. And as I said, then we go back to the irregular thing. In the bridge, we actually only go down once on each chord, but what are those chords? Well, the first one is once again a C major 7, followed up once again by an E minor 7, followed up by an F major 7, and now we've got one last new chord, an F minor. We've got our first finger across all 6 strings here on the 1st fret, our 3rd finger still on the 3rd fret on the 5th string, and our pinky still on the 3rd fret on the 4th string. I'm saying still because we're switching from that F major 7 position. So we lift our thumb off, our 2nd finger off, and put our 1st finger across. Then we go back to C major 7, E minor 7, and F major 7. And that is the entire bridge. Last but not least, how does that little melody riff work? Well, we start things off by putting our 1st finger onto the 8th fret on the 2nd string. We pick that once. Then we put our 3rd finger onto the 10th fret on the 2nd string. Pick that once. And now we lift it back off and we still have our 1st finger on the 8th fret and we pick that once more. So we go, and we mute the strings in between by just putting our right hand onto the strings. And now we slide down onto the 5th fret. So after that last 8, so 8, 10, 8, we don't mute it and we slide down to the 5th fret. Like that. We do that 3 times, and after having done that 3 times, we go 5th on the 2nd string where we already are, and we slide down onto the 3rd fret. Now we pick the 3rd and slide back up onto the 5th. Now we pick the 5th and slide back down into the 3rd. So we go, and now we pick the 3rd and slide down into the 1st. That is the entire thing. And that is the entire song. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If so, drop it a thumbs up, helps me out more than you might think. And if you haven't done so already and are new to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It's somewhere down there. And as always, I hope that I will see you guys next time.